Hello, I'm Darren Slack with NFA's QB Cast, your weekly prep talk podcast designed to help you set your thermostat and to prepare you to play your best on game day. It's week 6 for some of you, and for others it's less, but we're moving forward in our effort to help you gain a competitive advantage and get your mind right for game day. Now, we're in mid-season, and the focus should be shifting away from correcting those early season errors, overcoming any team chemistry issues, and eliminating those foolish decisions to what I want to talk about in today's podcast. Maximize efficiency, manage elements. First, let's talk about maximizing your efficiency. Efficiency means the ability to accomplish something with the least amount of wasted effort, time, or repetition. To do something right the first time, all the time. Now let's take a look at some ways we can maximize efficiency as a quarterback for our team. At this point in the season, you should be dialed in to what the offensive coordinator wants to be doing, enough to be an extension of him on the field. By understanding his priorities for you and the offense, you can be an extension of the coach in the huddle. And that's the first way to maximize efficiency. Be a thermostat in the huddle. See, you need to communicate regularly how far we need to go and what needs to happen to move those chains. We need to encourage great effort, not complain about blocking or failure. We need to shut down any player bickering and, above all, always remain calm. Remember, 68 and breezy at all times. The second way for you to be considered genuinely efficient as a quarterback is to actually move the chains. If the starting QB can't move the chains, he probably won't be starting for long. You need to be aware of what the offensive coordinator views as down management. On first down, he wants 4 positive yards or more. Statistically, the offense that achieves 4 yards or more on first down wins more games than they lose. On second down, we're shooting to gain at least half of what is remaining for a first down. On third down, we need to be converting by taking what the defense gives us and executing under pressure. Another way you can demonstrate efficiency in a practical way is to take care of the football. No turnovers. On early downs, make throws you can confidently complete. This requires knowing your progressions and your protections, disciplining your footwork to step up into the pocket, trusting your line and delivering the ball where only your guy can catch it. Now on later downs, you need to know your hot routes, where the options are in the blitzes, use your backs more coming into routes from the backfield, and don't force blind throws into pressure trying to make something happen. Patience is critical to avoiding turnovers. Don't gamble with your team's possession. Respect it. This respect has grown to the next evidence of efficiency, and that is understand and manage field position. You need to know what your offensive coordinator wants in each area of the field from the offense. Like if you're backed up inside your own 10 or 20 yard line, he's going to want to create space to work with simple, low-risk plays. If you throw the ball, don't take a sack and only make sure throws. You must learn to throw the ball away if you don't have the receiver open. If we're on our own 20 to 40 yard line, we won't be getting much pressure because the defense will likely be playing off in zone. So we need to take the underneath throws and move the chains to create pressure by crossing the 50 yard line. Now, if you're between the 40s, you have all your options available, but you need to pay attention to the score, time on the clock, and the game's momentum to understand what the coach is doing with play calling. Get in sync with his stated priorities between series. He'll tell you. If you're behind later in the game, he may want to take more shots down the field. But if you're ahead, he'll want a more conservative approach. So pay close attention to what he tells you between opportunities with the ball. When in doubt, ask him. From the 40 yard line in, we have lots of opportunities, but defensive pressure is sure to increase. So you must be ready for blitzes and not give up field position by holding the ball too long, taking a sack, or throwing the ball up for grabs late in the play. The defense is trying through pressure to bait you into turning the ball over on a throw, a fumble, or downs. Be smart and protect the ball, and protect that field position. Inside the red zone or 20 yard line, everything is compressed, so you need to keep your ball flight trajectory lower, make your throws to your better athletes in man coverage scenarios, and never throw the ball blind into the secondary. When in doubt, throw it to your family in the stands. We need points, not a pick. Respect your team's possession and take the field goal. Now, the next measurable of an efficient quarterback is their ability to convert third downs. This is one of the key determinations of wins and losses in any game. An offense that can't convert won't score. You must know at all times exactly how far you have to go, be prepared to pull the ball down and get the yardage if needed, remind the receivers to get their first down depths on third down routes. A lot of times they'll run them short, and encourage the line and running backs to make their big blocks and plays on this down. Third down is not about being a hero and making crazy lucky plays. Third down is about disciplined decisions that allow the offense to stay on the field and the defense to stay off of it. Maturity is critical on third down. Quarterbacks who convert start and lead their teams to victory. Another key thing about an efficient quarterback is that he's always improving his threat assessment. We need to study film to understand a defense's pressure schemes. You must know what you can do to help your team be in the right play at the right time. The answer is not just pulling the ball down and running around when you feel a threat. You need to know how to accelerate and abbreviate your drops, how to deliver off-balance throws, and be prepared to step into oncoming traffic and make the necessary throws by taking the hit. If you can't see pressure coming, none of what we're talking about regarding efficiency is going to matter. If you can't manage pressure, you won't matter to your offense. If you can't handle pressure, we've already lost. So it's very, very important that you work on improving your threat assessment. You must develop a mental and physical toughness through study, understanding the various options the coach is providing, and most importantly, have the courage to make the play necessary to get any pass into a catchable space. Improving threat assessment is directly connected to your willingness to sacrifice your time in preparation and your body in execution for your teammates. How willing are you to do this is clearly observable to everyone around you. You cannot hide your fear, but you can overcome your fear by embracing a deeper love and commitment to your team and your coaches. We have to make that decision. Anything else is unsustainable. Now, the final point for this presentation on quarterback efficiency, although it's probably the most important one, is that the quarterback must be able to extend the play. This is the athletic quarterback's best weapon against pressure. As a quarterback, you must develop your internal clock and footwork in the pocket to go through your progressions as coached, and then cultivate the ability to fight to stay on your feet and move. Extending the play is about the competitive nature of your heart. The key attribute of any quarterback at any level is his willingness to compete to win. This is best evidenced in the quarterback's ability to keep a play alive, shake tacklers, and keep cool to deliver strikes downfield. I believe this one attribute of quarterback efficiency, extending the play, is the ultimate value add to any offense at any level. This doesn't just mean the ability to run around in the backfield. It's both the courage to stand and throw in a collapsing pocket and the will to resist going down easily when tacklers are nearby. Keep this in mind. The QB who can extend the play will extend their career. Now, one of the biggest challenges to offensive efficiency heading into this time of year will be the elements. Now, let's talk about managing elements. The first thing we think about when we hear elements is weather. With seasons changing and winter approaching, rain and eventually snowy cold conditions are coming. Everything I just spoke about regarding the quarterback's mental and physical toughness will be tested by the elements, especially if you're asked to throw the ball more. Now, the first challenge in any inclement weather situation is the mind. The focused mental discipline required despite the distraction of weather, handicapping your performance, is substantial. It's here where many quarterbacks lose the battle. The weather gets in their head. The way to fight this mental battle is by accepting the reality of the situation and to stop wishing for something else. That means we need to accept that the ball is going to be wet. Stop trying to wish the ball, your uniform, or your towel, and your hands dry. The ball isn't going to be dry again until Monday's practice, and neither is your equipment. You aren't going to be warm again until you go to bed after the game later on tonight, so just accept it. Everyone is battling the same scenario. The only difference between you and everybody else is your response to it, and that's the key. There is something incredibly freeing about embracing the elements. Now, the Navy SEALs talk about embracing the suck, which means to absorb the adversity of the ridiculously awful conditions they're in their training environments and missions, and being willing to do it despite how it feels. This speaks of giving oneself over to the moment and thus starting to rise above its distracting impact mentally. I understand this mindset doesn't change the reality of the diminished effectiveness caused by the weather, but by not letting your mind make excuses, look for comfort, or give in to the discouragement, your inner competitor is unleashed. The elements become an opponent and you accept the challenge. This is a critical attitude you must attain. In simplest terms, don't complain, compete. Now, here's a few pointers when dealing with the three main elements that will cause the most problems when throwing the ball: rain, wind, and cold. The first one is rain, and it's tough because a wet ball is highly unpredictable in the hand. Also, towels typically don't stay dry enough to keep up with the water. Ultimately, the balls get heavier as the water absorbs into the leather, so it just gets worse as the game goes on. So the first thing you need to do is to keep some old balls on hand in the garage and literally dip them in a 5-gallon bucket of water and throw routes with them in practice. The only way to learn to throw a wet ball is to do it. Now, one of the first things you'll need to learn throwing a wet ball is to manage grip intensity. The harder you try to grip a wet ball and try to throw it hard, the more likely it is to slip out of your hand. You need to determine the appropriate grip tension you can sustain without the ball slipping mid-release. In pregame or in the rain on the sideline, throw some balls and quickly determine how much throwing torque your grip can handle. This is a great way to get you started. Don't pay too much attention to ball flight. Focus on your ability to drive the ball to the desired location. Lower your spiraled flight expectations. It's going to wobble. And focus on sustaining power to the target. If you can't drive the ball in wet weather, you can't throw it. Next, you want to determine what level of arm acceleration you can maintain and not have the ball slip mid-release. The appropriate arm speed is critical to throwing in wet weather. Once you can feel what speed you can consistently maintain, make up the difference of lost distance with a slightly higher trajectory. You won't be able to throw the ball as hard as you normally do, but remember, everyone moves a bit slower in the rain, including receivers. If you're on time with your drops, you can release the ball a bit higher, and it will carry to the target properly as he breaks. So you'll still have the benefit of an on-time throw. Finally, in my experience, I found I could throw the ball better in a deluge than a misting-type rain. This was because the deluge forced me to slow everything down and be very methodical in my delivery. In a lighter misting rain, I wasn't as disciplined to adjust what I suggested above, and I would have issues. You need to respect the elements. Don't be afraid of them. Adjust your grip intensity, adjust your arm speed, and elevate your release point, and you should be able to handle most wet weather when it comes. All right? If the ball slips, it slips. No one will get on you for that. But if you can't adjust to wet throwing, you won't be the starter for very long, so you need to work on it. Make sure you practice on rainy days as well. Here's the key to throwing in the rain. If you know your limitations, you'll exceed expectations, okay? Let's talk about the wind. Now, wind is a brutal element to face when throwing a football. Throwing directly into the wind or a crosswind demands more energy from every repetition just to maintain the status quo. It's very important to understand that knowing that more effort is required at every step, a stronger footwork and wider base, better balance and control, and faster arm acceleration will give you an immediate advantage against this element. The key in wind is to intentionally do everything more aggressively from the drop speed to the reset and to the delivery. This increased exertion will free your mind up from thinking about manipulating the ball because it has to respond to the explosive movement of your body. And you're more likely to succeed because of the increased acceleration of the release into the wind. In other words, you're going so fast you don't have time to think about it. By pushing yourself to game speed and above on every rep, you keep your mind from overthinking the release. There will be a need for awareness for adjusting ball angle and release point and possibly even where you step, but those things are best done at game speed. Without game speed, there's no proper reference for the feedback you need to make the next adjustment. So in pregame, take more time between reps, but go full speed to build confidence and awareness of how the wind is affecting the ball. Expect a few balls to be overthrown or to fall short. That's okay. Learn the wind and adjust. Throwing with the wind requires just as much discipline and acceleration as into the wind. The only difference is that the drive toward the target and the body's turn torque will need to be reduced. The arm speed always remains full at all times on every throw, but the stride with the wind must first be shortened dramatically. And to reduce the body's turn torque, you want to stand up into the throw much quicker. This standing up quicker will encourage the core to fire more, slowing the front shoulder from opening too fast. So you'll fire your core and you'll slow it down, or reduce the normal drive force and sustain balance to permit the proper arm acceleration still needed to make the throw. So when you're throwing with the wind, here's the key. Stand up quickly and extend. The standing up reduces turn torque power, and the pursuit of extension sustains proper arm acceleration. So you slow your body down, speed your arm up, okay? Finally, throwing in cold weather. This is probably the toughest one because it usually includes the previous two elements of rain and wind. I played college football in Florida, so when I had to travel north to throw in the cold, it was quite a shock. This was mostly because I couldn't feel the ball as easily as I could in warm weather. Also, the ball became rock hard. In cold weather, it's very much like playing in the rain. You need to manage grip intensity based on your level of lost feel in your fingertips. You need to determine your feel based on the cold air and the fingertip numbness you're experiencing. You can try and throw with gloves on, but I would practice that during the week. Don't just go and do it on game day because the stickiness of the glove will affect your feel and release. You need to control the arm acceleration based on the slippage of the ball in the drier, colder air, just like you would do in wet weather. If it's cold and wet, then you still have to determine what level of acceleration you can handle with your compromised grip. You must try to keep your throwing hand warm to maintain circulation and improve your hand's capacity to throw with more power. That will help a lot. If it's so cold you can't feel your hands, you have to trust your brain's throwing motor program and make the throw anyway. Focus on making higher percentage throws into space and emphasize both elevation of the elbow and extension. Now, due to lost feeling, these two important elements of the throw, elevating the elbow and extending the wrist, will be compromised. So you want to exaggerate those disciplines in the cold weather to make sure you're doing them. Here again, an aggressive drop speed, sound footwork base, and a game speed mentality will go a long way to helping your mind overcome the diminished capacity of the cold. If you can remember that you're playing two opponents, the defense and the elements, and you can remain uncompromisingly vigilant to compete against both, you've got a real shot to be successful. Listen, we need to embrace the suck and wear the elements like a part of your gear, and I promise you can overcome it. If you're willing to compete, you will find your adjustments to the elements as just one mental hurdle on the way to leading your team to victory. I do hope that helps some, and I do wish you at NFA Nation the very best in your game this week. Let's be committed to maximizing efficiency and managing the elements at every step of the way to game day. Good luck, and we'll see you next week after your victory.